Good evening and welcome to this webinar on English A, SBA. My name is Cleveland Sam, Assistant Registrar with the Caribbean Examinations Council. About 3 years ago, CXC announced that the new English syllabus taking effect in 2016 with the first examinations in 2018, that SBAs will be introduced. We are here in 2016 and there are many questions about the SBA for English. Today's webinar is intended to help you to better navigate the CSEC English syllabus and clarify issues regarding the SBA. As I said, my name is Cleveland Sam, Assistant Registrar Public Information, and with me is Dr. Joyce Stewart, who has been a CXC resource person for a very long time, and she is going to be helping us to navigate the English syllabus SBA requirements tonight. I noticed that quite a number of you have already signed in, over 300, and I'd just like to apologize on behalf of CXC for the 10-minute late start, but we are about to go, and hopefully we can answer all of your questions and clarify all of your issues. Good evening, Dr. Stewart.
Good evening.
Already we have several questions coming through on the webinar chat. And the first one I see are teachers responsible for creating their own SBA for topics, and that is coming through from one Miss Monroe. So are teachers responsible for creating their own topics?
Good evening, everybody. The short answer to that would be yes. I can't find the right word. The whole approach is to give the student the opportunity to find his or her own feet and to do something that they enjoy doing in order to score the best possible marks. We do not want to be prescribing too heavily for them. We do not want to be limiting their creativity to prevent them from exploring. So it is left to the teachers and the students, let me stress that part, and the students, to work out themes, to discuss these themes as a class, and then to decide on the ones that best suit them in their particular place. So you could have two sets of students in a single school doing the SBA with a different teacher, and they have different themes, things that the students have accepted.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I hope Miss Monroe, Miss Monroe's rather, that your question there has been answered. And let's go down to some other question. They're asking, can some suitable topics be provided for the students to research? Is it a matter of research, Dr. Stewart, or do they have to do other things apart from research?
Loosely put, it is a matter of research, but we are not having the students do the things that you would do for, let's say, social studies, where you have an idea and you go and you find what everybody has to say about it and you document and such like. This is not what we're doing in the English SBA. If, for instance, a student chooses to do a theme, if the group chooses as a theme teenagers in music, a thing that the student may find when they start investigating their topic would be, let us say, a video or a photograph of a group of teenagers who are making a name for themselves in music. That would be the thing that gives you inspiration. That's the information that you need to start thinking about what impact this object has had on you, how has it affected your thinking, and that sort of thing, rather than going to interview teenagers about what they say about music. That would be the social studies approach, and that is not what we should be doing.
Okay, I have a very long question here from Ms. Timal. My question is concerning the topic. For the SBA, do all students in a group focus on the same topic, or do they all look at the same theme, with each of them focusing on their own specific topic that has been inspired by the theme?
This question has come in various ways, many different times, and you have the answer in the last part of your question. Do they all look at the same theme with each of them focusing on their own specific topic that has been inspired by the theme. That is what we're looking for. When the class agrees with the teacher on the list of themes, then the group sits together to discover what are the areas related or coming out of this theme that they have. And then each person will have his or her own topic to fine-tune and to develop his or her portfolio.
Ms. Bartlett asked if you can explain data analysis.
Data would refer to the objects, the words, the passages, all the things related to each person's topic that is found. So you look, the analysis would be to take what is contained in that piece of work and break it down and talk about it. If it is a photograph of teenagers in music, so you study the photograph. Is it a mixed group? Is it mixed ages? Are they all over 17? Do they dress in a particular way? Do they conform, or do they set out to be different? You're analyzing the data. If it is in words, this is something that people would have been taught ever since third form. What is the kind of language being used? Is it formal or informal? Is it full of colloquialism? Is it good standard English? Is it the sort of language that is 21st century young people, or is it the language that everybody can appreciate? You just take it to see how the student uses the words, arranges the expression to give a certain meaning. Does the person writing it use metaphor and simile and that kind of artistic device, or is it just straightforward description from the person speaking? Does the language fit the theme that is being discussed? These are the things that you do when you're investigating the data.
Okay, well, I hope that question has been answered for our friend whose name I can't remember at this point. But there's a request for the scoring rubric, but we'll get into that a little later. I have a few questions that some of my colleagues in the measurement as well as the syllabus department would have received in advance of the webinar, and I heard you mention social studies, and this one you probably can do it very easily. What could be done to ensure that SBA is not a duplicate of social studies SBA?
It begins with careful reading of the syllabus, and then the kind of information that I shared with you a minute ago. It is not that kind of investigation where you set up questionnaires and interviews and all that. You're looking for evidence that the thing you talk about is already in place. It's there. So if I'm looking for teenage music, I must find objects that tell me there is such a thing as teenage music and teenage musicians. What is the other part of the question?
That it doesn't duplicate social studies SBA.
Well, I think then that will cover it. Social studies, as far as I know, you go and you do an investigation, you go and you meet people, you set up your review and that sort of stuff, but we don't do that here.
Okay.
The social studies SBA, I do not think requires a creative final response. The English SBA requires students to use what they have found, to inspire themselves or let themselves be inspired to create something. So when I watch, when I get all the information on a teenage performing group, I can set out to become one of such, and the piece that I will use as my auditioning piece were I to go to interview with a group, I would produce it. It's creative, and my examination would be I have to stand in front of my teacher and perhaps my class and read it or perform it, and I don't believe social studies offers this avenue.
Okay, I hope that has been answered for my colleague. One question here from Faith Richards. Can you explain what you want in the section entitled, quote, ensuring the soundness of techniques used in your investigation, unquote? What do you want in that section specifically?
Faith, let me look at that. in the syllabus and come back to you because I'm not sure I'm understanding what
Okay.
you need. And right at this moment, I haven't got my syllabus here, but I can answer you soon.
All right. Please explain the reflective component of the SBA.
Reflection is something that we have difficulty in getting students to do. And I am not speaking specifically of students between 16 and 18. I'm talking about older people as well. But reflection is already in the syllabus. If you were to do the description essay in section C of the syllabus, you will describe a situation that you're seeing or that you have experienced, and then you talk about it. What is the impact it has had on you? What do you like about it? What does it remind you of, and what does it make you dream of having happen? You get involved with what is said, and you try to put your thoughts and your personal analysis, your personal spin on what was in the item, and that is that's your reflection on it. So I was a little infant when we had Hurricane Jeanette back in 1955, I think it was. And I've heard all the stories, and some of them have been written. So when I sit down to reflect on it, I think back to how old I was and what are the kind of things that I should have experienced as a very young child. What are the things that I actually experienced, what I have remembered, and how does that memory affect me today? Let me tell you for short that every time I hear hurricane, I'm terrified. Because I remember, even though I was very young, I remember how the roof came off and was floating in the pond next door, and my mother had just had a new baby, all of that. And I start thinking about the insecurity, the danger, the death. And now from a much loftier age, the wonderful reaction of people to those around them who suffered. Reflection, take it, make it yours, talk about it, say what is significant to you and why.
Right. The Shona de Freitas asked, do students produce 3 different pieces of writing for the 3 different materials collected and have a total of 9 pieces of writing, or will they address the one of the 3 criteria in each piece of material or text collected? Seems like a mouthful, but I'm sure you probably understand what Mr. Freitas is asking.
You have, let us start with the reflection, 3 entries in which the student reflects on the issue or topic or theme. In the first entry, you must indicate how it affected you. The second entry discusses the use of language, and the third entry states how the process has helped you to become better. If you like, you can think of that as 3 pieces of work, but it is actually 1 piece of work with different sections on the same object that you're starting off with. You should find,
Could you reference the page
I'm looking
number?
in my syllabus booklet at pages 28 and 29.
Right.
And the syllabus for the SBA occurs twice. It is in the English A syllabus, and then it's in the English B syllabus, an exact copy thereof. The student will create a portfolio. I'm looking for the words that tell you exactly how many pieces. I'm not finding it. I know it's here, but I'm not finding it.
A minimum of 3 pieces.
A minimum of 3 pieces of material. For example, yes, and print, audio, visual media presented in the portfolio and should address the issue or event selected. One of the 3 pieces must be in print. So to start off, when you have decided on the specific topic that you want, you have to find 3 different things that relate to your work. And in writing up each one, you have 3 responses. Think of it as 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 being the way how you how it has affected you. Paragraph 2 being the language. Paragraph 3, now that I'm older and I've had this experience, am I better? Now that the year is done and I've finished my SBA, how has all that affected me? So you're right when you say 9, but if you think of it as 9 pieces, you might get a little bit discouraged. Think also of the length that is required. Nothing here exceeds 150 words that I remember. So it doesn't end up being long, and so on page 29, a satisfactory report, that's the longest thing you have. That's 300 words. The other aspects don't come to that length.
So all this is part of the portfolio?
This is part of the portfolio. All the things that a student does go into his or her portfolio. Okay. And you begin with the pieces that you find. You look at them, you do your plan of investigation, and you start doing the various things that you have to do. Now, the first time you do it, it's not over and done. You're working and editing and coming back. And notice that the SBA is not an individual-only activity. It is an activity that demands a group. It is not an option. It must be a group. So when you go to your group meeting, each person will have his or her object, the first one or the second one or the third one. And you share it with the group. You know what you want to do. You discuss with them what you want to do. And we're trying to bring you to the maturity that you can say, this is good, or this is not good, this is not suitable. Okay.
Okay. Another question in relation to the same portfolio, in terms of how are the marks assigned to the sections of the portfolio?
If you, in your syllabus, turn to pages 52, 53, you'll find a graphic assessment criteria, which tells you how many marks you get for each piece of work that you do and how is the mark awarded. The first one, your plan of investigation, gets you 5 marks, and that is an individual activity. It's written. The second one, participation measure, which is explained earlier, you get 5 marks. It's a group activity. The quality of group activity, this is the teacher's supervision and interaction with the students to be able to say how well they're functioning as a group. That is a group mark. The written report is a group mark, but your reflection is individual, and your oral presentation is individual. So the awarding of the marks is clearly set out there for you on page 52. If you've printed your syllabus, as I have mine printed, but it's not far from there. And it's headed assessment criteria.
Okay, so just to advise that the syllabus is available on the CXC store at www.cxc-store.com, www.cxc-store.com. You can go to the CXC store and download their syllabus for free. Yes?
Let me invite you.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Sue.
Let me invite you, if you have a syllabus document in front of you, to go back where you have the expression indicators of group activity. Under that heading, you read, one of the 3 pieces must be print. So when you start choosing your own stimulus material, you must find one thing that is written, has been written by someone else, and you find this object. So it could be a story. It could be a description. It could be an analysis of something. That's what you're looking for. We want the words in there. And
hello, good evening. My apologies. We had some technical issues. And hope you're still there and happy to be back. Okay, thank you very much for letting me know that you're still here. and we shall continue answering your questions and responding to your comments. Okay. Sorry?
I want to give you a scenario.
Right. So Dr. Stewart would like to give a scenario, since some of you are asking in terms of examples and so on. So Dr. Stewart.
Good. I have chosen for my particular theme adult responsibilities. So I sit with my group of 3 other people and we make a list of the topics that can come out of adult responsibilities. And the one I have chosen as my particular topic is employment. I want to do this because very often we get a little bit upset at school because we cannot think of how we're going to use what we've learned in school, or we come out of school and we cannot get jobs and that sort of scenario. So I want to explore that as mine. I set out, therefore, to find my 3 pieces of data. And I have found a table, figures produced by the kinds of, the levels of employment in different age groups and such like. This table is totally imaginary, right? But it is a table. And a table is good in that when you read it, when you see the table, as long as you've learned how to read it, you can have so much information in front of you. My second piece is a newspaper article on employment. And my third one is a comedy piece by somebody like Paul King Douglas, for instance, talking about work. 3 different approaches to the same issue. For each one, I have to write the first reflection, which is, how does finding this piece of material shape my thinking about employment? Then I look to see how the language used in the piece that I am looking at, each of these 3 pieces, how the language helps me. When I look at the Paul King Douglas piece, I'm going to see a lot of things about it to recognize that it is not peculiar to a single set of people. All of us look for employment, and many different reactions to it come out. And sometimes when you get lighthearted and you laugh about it, you feel better. All right, so I've done now my 3 pieces of reflection, on my 3 reflections on each of those things. 1 piece on each of the 3. 1 piece looking at the language, 1 piece looking at how it affected my attitude, and the third one I might have to leave until I have done a little bit more in the term on doing the reflections, because the third piece of writing asks you to say, how does the process of doing the SBA help you in becoming a better person? So eventually, Paul King Douglas's point, the newspaper article, and the table will have given me information and helped me to improve my attitude, or have made me thoroughly disgusted and wanting to become Prime Minister or Minister of Education so that I can reshape the school syllabus, the school curriculum, and prepare more of us for work, the kind of work that I'm thinking of. So the third part of the thing might have to be something that you defer until the term or the school year is a bit advanced and you have done more work, but you still have to come back and do it. So you will have left the table with 2 comments. You will have left the newspaper article with 2 comments and the poem with 2 comments, and you're going to come back later and answer the third one when you have grown up a little bit more as a result of doing the SBA in the class. Okay?
Okay, Sada, I see you have your hand up. Do you want to ask a question? You can go ahead. Sada, Mathura, you can go ahead and ask your question.
I'm a little bit confused by the last scenario that was given. I just 3 pieces of articles. 3 pieces as an entire group.
No, it's not 3 pieces as an entire group. It's 3 pieces for you. And we are kind of strong on this, that you must not be using the same 3 pieces as anybody else in your group. It takes a long time to arrive at the place where you can work with 3 other people and end up with something different from what they have. So we're advising that you do not share your pieces with anyone else.
Okay. So
The example, the answer from my CSEC measurement colleague is, it is the aim of the syllabus for the students to bring as much evidence as possible on a particular subject with which you can interact. Based on the theme selected, some minor overlap may occur, but the students must use their own pieces of material. Okay? So in your group of 4, you will have 12 different pieces.
okay.
So that is clear, you know? Are you clear now?
I'm a bit clearer, but I was, well, I have to go back to my teachers, and we have to, you know, this was my correction that I have to make now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, okay.
I also see Nanji with your hand up. Are you ready to ask your question? Nan? If you are not ready yet, Nan, then I will move on to Carleen McBean, whose question is, are group SBAs allowed? I think that's the issue you were just trying to clarify. So can you clarify that once and for all?
Okay. There's group activity in terms of support and discussion. The only piece of writing that is a group assignment is the final report. And even that has serious input from the individual. In your syllabus document, there's a page, scoring rubric for, I need to find the right thing. After a second, I'm finding it. Yes, I'm right. On page 57, scoring rubric for individual participation. There are a number of comments there that when you read them, they help you to do your own piece of work. Guidance for students for the written report, page 61. What should you do in order to enhance your performance on the written report? And you have 5 things there to which you should respond to help you to build up your answer. And then there are things that you'll talk about in the group. You may all have begun at the same place, having the same kind of disappointment or anxiety, and you put this in your opening section of your report, and then you go down to do your own stuff. The teachers have a great deal to play in this part, whether they allow you to do everything on, whether they take your individual assignments and grade them, or whether they have you sit as a group, discuss, write your stuff, and then meld them all into one piece of work.
Okay, I hope that answered your question. There's still some clarification being sought about the group work. So will all the students in a group write about the same topic?
It's how you word this that is the difficulty. If all of us write on the same topic, then each of us has to have a subtopic on that whole thing. So I prefer to use the word theme. Is that general issue that you're going to be talking about? And within the general issue, there are smaller pieces to be dealt with. Let us say you had the theme, the family. What are the subsections? What are the ideas coming out of the family? One will be sibling rivalry. One will be parental guidance. One will be, I don't know, providing for a family. They're all related to the concept of family. And this is how it has to work. You agree on a big theme, and each of you chooses a related issue from it.
Okay, they're still on the group work. So someone clarifying, so in a group of 4, we need to find 12 objects, 3 each.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, each person finds his or her own 3.
That's Lizette Abraham, that's in response to your question. And Abigail, they're graded individually, yet it says we can dramatize. Abigail is saying that in the rubric it says that they're graded individually, but it speaks here about doing dramatize.
Individually for what?
For the group work.
The group work has a combination of individual and group participation. The teacher studies the various groups, and we expect that the teachers would first give you some insight into group dynamics, because learning to work with a group is not easy, but it is essential, especially if you're going to plan to join the workforce. So in the group, you have your own responsibility to write, to think and write, and then you share what you have done with the others and help them to think and write. And if my colleagues are good at English where I am not, I would expect that one of them would read my piece of work and help me to straighten up my grammatical errors. If I am better at typing than somebody else, I might offer to do their piece of typing. How do you share responsibilities as a group for the benefit of all of the people in the group?
But it will be graded individually. No, it's graded at the same. It's being graded as a group.
At the moment, when you look at the syllabus, it becomes a gray area, which we were discussing recently. Mm-hmm. So at this point, we'll leave it to the teachers. You can grade the report, one report for the entire group, or you can ask that the group sits down to subscribe different parts to the report. Whatever you do, the student will not suffer, so long as there's evidence that there was collaboration in the performance of the report.
All right, so Brenda is saying that I am still not clear on the group work and the even individual grading. How do you differentiate between the two? I think there's some, what would I say, gray area in terms of the group work versus individual work. Please clarify, each person in the group will write reflections on the pieces. The reflections are not meant to be written as general reflection of the entire SBA process. Am I right?
It's a specific thing. It's specific to the object that you have chosen.
Right. And then they have to, the final report is submitted as a group report or as an individual report.
Right. So this is where, at the moment, we have a gray area. If you look on page 61, you have guidance to the student for the written report. And that sounds very individualistic. Now, if you look at the graphic I drew to your attention earlier, you will see that the scoring is meant to be group work. So this is where what I was trying to say to you just now, where we discussed this, and we decided to let the teacher play out. The teacher will grade the group, the final report in the best possible way so that you don't get hurt as students. And then this will have to be ironed out for future examinations. The long and short of that is, so long as the group report exists, well done, nobody suffers.
All right. So once there's evidence, the important thing is for the teacher to provide the evidence that the work was done by the members of the group.
The report.
And the report was done by the members of the group. Brian, just to answer your question, the audio of the webinar will be made available on the CSEC YouTube channel, so you can check there for that. I'm sure the webmaster will also put the link on the Facebook page, so you can get to the link as well. All right, so I hope that your questions in respect of the group work vis-a-vis individual grades have been answered. And we do have some other questions here. Would the what could the data consist of, and could it be created? For example, can students conduct questionnaires interviews? You already answered that. There's no questions, interviews, the type of social science scenario that we're talking about. Yes? And right, this is an important one, Dr. Steele. In terms of the clarification on whether teachers should use what style, MLA, Chicago, APA format for the work. What format should the work be submitted in?
There's no prescribed format. All we ask is consistency. If you choose MLA, then follow MLA right through.
All right, and if you choose APA, follow
APA.
right through. Can you provide information on what should be in the written report? I'm here to respond. Our students are expected to use a group topic to compile a personal portfolio and add 3 pieces of group effort or for the individual portfolio as well. I think you would have dealt with that already. 3 pieces of work on 3 different areas. We have, could you just repeat them? Reflection.
In order to do your reflections, you choose 3 different pieces of data. Pre-existing items, not anything created by interviews or questionnaires. For instance, you can find a poem, you can find a play, you can find a song, you can find a recorded discussion, a variety of sources that you can go to locate 3 different pieces. On each of those pieces, you write 3 things. 1, how does having found this thing and studied it, how does it shape your thinking? 2, what kind of language, comment on the language used in the piece. Obscure, funny, easy to understand, you deal with that. And the 3rd section is the one that I'm saying you might need to put back for a couple of weeks, where you study the piece and you say, how has this helped me to become a better person? By finding this piece on something that I'm studying and reflecting on it, how have I been improved? You take those, so that's 3 responses to 1 piece. You take your 2nd piece, you make the same 3 responses to that. You take the 3rd piece, and you make the 3 kinds of responses to that. So you end up with 3 fully developed essays, each one having 3 parts. Hope that one works now.
Okay. And I'm asking for clarity. The written is a summary of processes, procedures, and outcome, page 29 of the syllabus. Mr. Gill is asking if the written in summary, the written is a summary of the process, procedures, and outcomes.
Oh, the written report.
The written report.
The written report of the investigation should be a summary of the processes, procedures, and outcomes of the research. I am cautioning you on your interpretation of the word research. There's research, and there's research, and then there's more research. Get it out of your heads, please, that you're being asked to do a social studies project. If you set out to find what people in the community have written or prayed about as a problem, where you find the prayer as an object and you bring the prayer with you and you comment on it in your work. And now you have to start dealing with the process. When you get to do the report, it would mean that all of you have written at least 2 sets of reflections. What did you do as a group? I'm looking at the first word, summary of the processes. What did you do as individuals and as a group to acquire the pieces that you have? Was it difficult, challenging, easy, no problem? That's what you're going to put in. Procedures. As a group, what did you do to start the group thinking about these things? So you may have had 3 meetings in the month. You may have all drafted a particular aspect and brought it back to the group so you could share. You may have sat together and discussed it with the teacher and raised all your things. What steps did you take to get your work done? The part of the thrust is to make sure that you do your work. That you don't have someone do your work for you. So if you're doing it, you have to know what you did and why you did it, whether the group agreed it was a good thing to do or not, or whether you split tasks to get something put together. It's just commenting on how you managed to get your assignment completed. Those are the processes and the outcomes. Are you happy with the pieces that you have written individually? Are you happy with when you look at it as a group, how well you have functioned? Have you learned how to operate as a group and taking care of one another? What came out of it? What more have you learned? You've got all the different pieces, 12 different pieces. Have you been improved as individuals, and have you been improved as a group? This would be the outcome of the research.
Okay, there are a number of questions and comments here about how the oral or audio component of the piece to be reflected in the portfolio. I think they want to know how do they account for or represent the oral or audio component that they have studied in the portfolio.
Now, the oral is not something that you have studied in the portfolio. The oral is something that you have decided to do as your contribution to an issue. You explore the issue in different ways in your group and in your individual work. Now you want to become Paul King's Douglas or Red Plastic Bag or whoever else, and you're going to create something which you will present. It is creativity, is yours, it's original. You can pattern it on something you've already seen, but the words and the thoughts that go in there will be yours. So yeah. I could decide I'm going to write a drama piece. I'm going to have 2 voices, because when I come to perform it, I can do the 2 voices. One voice has one attitude, one voice has another, and we have taken let's say we're taking my earlier theme of employment, adult responsibilities, and my particular topic of employment. I might want to craft a piece which is between a prospective employer and employee. I could write a piece that is the interview, as I think it might go. And I can be very serious in my interview, or I can be funny. I can critique people's attitudes to those that they're interviewing, or I can applaud it. I just choose what I say in my piece. This is my creative response to a situation. It's not anybody else's work, it's just mine.
I think what they're trying to figure out is how is this presented? Is this going to be a tape, a link to a YouTube video that they have created? I think they're trying to figure out how does this become part, how to make it part of the portfolio from the questions and comments I'm seeing here.
Well, first it has to be presented in class. You have a personal response event which is delivered orally in 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
So the teacher is the judge. Teacher manages that situation. The oral presentation should be delivered predominantly in standard English, in the genre of the student's choosing. As I was just saying, you can do drama, poetry, prose, or role play, whatever. And you should deliver, either before or after you've done it, a brief overview of the presentation, the sources used, and a comment on the kind of language. So in this piece, I want to try to change the attitude of people who are conducting interviews, because they behave as though they're special and they make life difficult for the interviewee. I have therefore decided to turn it into a joke. And You say what you're going to do in that section. The student should write a brief overview of their presentation. In shaping this piece of work, I have been influenced by the work of, call one of the people that you studied in literature or that you've met every day on the street, somebody who's a teacher maybe that has inspired you. Just put the person's name and something about them. And how you're going to present, what you're going to do first, second, and third. That is a brief plan of the oral presentation. How do you get this submitted? First, you do it in class. And the logistics of marking of the examination, I am not sure of. This is going to be a discussion between examinations and EDP,
EDP.
Measurement, technical measurement personnel. And I'm sure that as the exam, as you work out, the authorities will make sure the schools understand what to do to make these orals available in case a particular student is selected to submit. And maybe we will just not take in the oral. Maybe it could be left entirely to the teacher. But that is something you will get more information on.
Okay, following up on that, Dr. Stewart, Miriam said that you're speaking about the presentation in class, but what she would like to know is the indicators of group activity where it is stated that one of the three pieces can be an audio, not the completed presentation. So I think her question here is...
She's combining two different things.
Right, well, I think she's trying to dissect them actually, to talk here about the portfolio where it says that piece of it can be an audio. So I think they're trying to get around how do they include the audio in the portfolio. I think a lot of them are not clear on that. I think your explanation just now was very good in terms of the presentation of the oral in class in front of the teacher. But in terms of the portfolio, how is the audio to be represented or documented in the portfolio?
All right. In the portfolio, you may have gone to a dramatic presentation and had permission to tape, videotape, or otherwise. Mm-hmm. And, well, your generation, youngsters, is much more technically savvy than mine, but the good old-fashioned, what do you call it, the disc?
Yeah, well, somebody was asking if they could do like a CD or
yes,
DVD.
The CD.
Right.
Or the old-fashioned way of doing a tape.
Or USB, they don't use
yes,
tapes.
I know you don't use tapes anymore, but some of these things still exist.
You will find anything to play it on.
yes, do they do a USB?
Or CD.
Or a CD.
All right. Mm-hmm. From a flash drive, something. Right?
And then you can use the same kind of medium to record your final assignment, your presentation.
Okay. Another important question that came up about 2 minutes ago about the moderation of these SBAs.
The moderation of the SBAs, a lot of the responsibility comes to the teacher who taught you and who will grade you. All of the logistics I am not sure of. Again, I have to leave that to the officers in testing and measurement and exams here on CXC. Rest assured they will come to you.
Okay, so the issues of moderation will be dealt with at a later stage. Yeah. Somebody asked as well about how do you deal with the hearing impaired in respect to the SBAs. I'm not sure how that is going to be dealt with. Any consideration?
I have no thoughts on that.
Right. And the word limit for the final SBA presentation.
Excuse me. The written report is a limit of 300. And what are the other? I don't see the plan of investigation, not more than 100 words. The reflections. So it is. I mean, you're asking me how many words do you have in your entire portfolio? And it's difficult for me to tell you that, except to say that a reflection is about 150. So that's the three things there. Add them all up, but the one that you may be more concerned about is the written report, which is just 300 words. when the thing is all done, I cannot imagine you're going to have as much as 1,000. I think you'll be under 1,000 words.
Okay. All right, our class size range from 35 to 47. How do you suggest we approach guiding the students, grading them individually and as groups? That's a teacher management issue, classroom management issue. So would you suggest a group work here, or?
The group work is not a suggestion. The group work is a must. This discussion happened in another territory a couple of days ago. One of the suggestions was you cannot have all of your groups working on the same day because you cannot get to see each group, and you need to be able to manage that. The difficulty can be helped, can be overcome if you split your class. If today is the day we're working on the SBA, from this side of the class, you have this assignment to do, and this side of the class, you are in your groups working. These ones who have an assignment are seriously focusing on that, and the teacher can visit and interact with the other groups. And there are, in the syllabus, many examples of things that you can do to make your teaching easier and exciting. I'm talking about from page 8 all the way down to page 23 or 24. There are ideas in there for you that you can follow, the topics and exercises to help the discussion. A lot is going to work for you, much is going to work for you if you begin the teaching by helping the students to understand the importance of group activity and how they can manage group activity. What are the responsibilities of the individuals in a group? That is very crucial to getting them to understand how to behave and facilitate the whole development. What I am afraid of, from some of the questions that came to me in another place, is that teachers are inclined to see this as extra work. Let me confess that I did not like the idea of SBAs to begin with, but I have recognized how valuable the SBA can be, and that it need not be extra work. Again, I'm begging my colleagues to use some of the strategies they learned in Teachers College. When I give my class an assignment, I have in mind what I am going to grade that assignment for. So, my students have done their reflections. I have to look at them. I have to provide SBA marks and my class marks for the end of term for the report. So I take the reflection, and for my classroom work, for what I have to give into the year ahead at the end of the year, I am going to look at the grammar and the sentence structures in this assignment and mark it. But for the SBA aspect, I'm not doing that. I'm just looking to see how well they have developed their ideas, and I will give them comments. So the one piece of work is going to fulfill two purposes, and I can manage them both in the classroom.
All right. So Cassandra disagrees with you. She said it is extra work and no additional time has been given. And one of our colleagues, Evita, she said, thank you very much for the clarification in terms of the written report, but she just wanted to clarify one other piece of a statement from the syllabus which says, quote unquote, it is written, the written report should include data collected and analysis of data. Does this mean students have to place the three pieces of data here again, and how exactly do they analyze the data? I think you had explained that earlier, that the analysis of the data is not the same way as you do in social studies, but is basically analyzing text or which could be audio or video or printed piece of something from a newspaper or magazine. Yes?
Yes. It says specifically it should include the material collected, reasons for collection, and analysis of the material. You've done all of this before in doing the reflection. So now you're doing something much briefer than that. You're saying one of the procedures I followed was to collect creative pieces done by so-and-so, different people. I got this by using the telephone and calling to find out that, or by reading a certain book or whatever. Just some comment on how you went about getting the pieces that you have already done for the reflection. It is not that you're writing that entire thing back into your report. Remember, the report is just 300 words.
All right. And someone asked if you can describe the repository for all this information or the physical portfolio. I think they're trying to get a sense of what the portfolio should look like.
I have in front of me an envelope. It is about 4-step length. It is about 10, 11 inches broad, and it has a cover with a button. It's plastic. And if I were a teacher with my students and their portfolios, this is the sort of thing that I would ask. It's waterproof, so they won't get it all messy. And there's the biggest thing that's going to go in here is a CD or a USB. And that will be quite safe. You're included in here all of the written pieces. Everything is written. The things that they have picked up, that they're commenting on, and what they have produced themselves. So they can all hold comfortably in a flat folder. In those days when I was opposed to SBA, I fussed about where am I going to store all of these. I'm no longer fussing about those. I stack them on my desk.
I've seen this question or this request about 10 times since we started an hour ago. And in terms of a sample or an exemplar of what a portfolio should look like, is that going to be presented or prepared or put anywhere?
I have been asked many times about producing model answers or, well, let us use a polite term, exemplars. I am very, very, very hesitant to go that route because in all my years' experience, the minute you put a model there, people forget about individual response and creativity, etc., and they simply produce carbon copies thereof. This is something that I believe my CSC officers and I will have a discussion on further, and what the majority decision is will carry. As it stands right now, there are things that can be done. I can perhaps create a concept of a reflection or have somebody else do a reflection of a sort and publish this in the CSC news, etc. But right now, there is serious reluctance to produce model answers.
Okay. And okay, thank you. Teachers need a guide, and this is one of the best ways since this is new. I think that's Cassandra making a case for the model or the exemplar SBA portfolio. Alva, just to remind you and the others that the webinar will be posted on the CXC YouTube channel, so you can have the audio of the webinar there, and I'm sure it probably will be up by Monday or Tuesday next week, yes? The written report, is it a group work or not? I think that Dr. Stewart, you just want to re-emphasize that group work is not an option.
It is not an option. It is part of the process of the SBA.
Right. All right. Is the deadline for the SBA the same as other SBAs?
On that, I cannot say. But there's an issue that did come up, which let me speak about now. Mm-hmm. What if a student in the 4th year of school is writing English A and is going to write English B in the 5th year of school? What happens to the SBA? I have been assured that the marks are carried forward. Remember, it is a single SBA, and the mark is given to both English A and English B. So in the year in which the student writes the SBA, it is graded, And I think there's a standing rule for SBAs, is it 50% that you need to get in order to have your work carry forward. So long as that is achieved, the marks are there, and when the English B is done, it goes into that. Remember, we have to get our students to start thinking that there are 3 papers and not just 2 papers and an SBA, so it's something external. It's paper 3. And paper 3 is an essential part of your final product and getting your work. In no subject area do you do some of the papers and not some of the papers. You have to do all the papers, so we have it here too.
All right. Question that we were asked earlier, but we didn't have the syllabus. We have it now, the rubric.
Yeah. There are, in the syllabus document, several samples of rubrics that you can follow. Forms that you can use to fill out. I'm looking at page 58, scoring rubrics for group activity, definitions for quality within group activities, page 59, scoring rubrics for the written report on page 60, scoring rubrics for oral presentation on page 62. So there are rubrics written in there for you, which you can either follow or use as a kind of example of what you need to be doing.
Is there an alternative paper for non-school students?
There is an alternative paper for non-school students. It's called paper 032. Private candidates are required to write this paper. The alternative paper will assess the candidate's acquisition of skills in the same areas of the syllabus identified for the SBA. The paper will consist of a critique of 3 pieces. Now, in the exam, these 3 pieces are provided, so you do your critique in the exam. And there are specific pieces that you're going to get. 1 is an excerpt from a newspaper article. 2 is a cartoon or a strip or the lyrics to a song. And 3, a poem or short story or public speech. So you're going to get 1 of those types. Sorry, not 1. 3 from each of those types in the examination, and you have to sit down and write your assessments, etc.
Okay, that's it for the rubric. Delia Monroe, do you still want to ask your question? Go ahead, Delia.
I was just wondering, I think part of it was answered. I was asking whether they can begin doing the portfolios from Form 3.
I know that there are several schools that are planning on doing this.
So it's acceptable.
That's up to you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Nala, do you still want to ask? Nelia, do you still want to ask your question? Niala, do you still want to ask your question? Yes? Go ahead. Niranjan, do you want to ask your question still? I've opened the mic for you. Okay, what about Audrey? Audrey, do you want to ask?
Claire? Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
If there's a group having 4 students, okay, and they select as their main theme teenage pregnancy, does it mean that each student should select an aspect of that topic? I just want to be clear on that.
Yes.
Okay, fine. All right, good. Good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Amanda,
Okay.
Amanda Cole O'Neill, do you want to go now, Amanda? Hi, Amanda, good night. Are you still there? Okay. Miss Gordon, Tanisha?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you had your hand up.
Yes, my question is regarding to the plan of investigation. There are a number of questions that only allot 1 mark. For example, 3, some English language skills that may be used. Another part, we also use some conclusions that may be obtained for a single mark. I'm trying to determine how is the syllabus interpreting some How many are students expected to write? And how do we score that?
Where are you reading from?
From page 56, where the plan of investigation is outlined. Scoring rubric for plan of investigation.
Yeah, I have it here. You are expected to, right, this is a teacher's document, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Set proposal title.
So this is what the students will be completing.
This is yours. This is how you guide them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the topic, you have 1 mark. For the task, you have 2 marks. For the reasons for selecting the topic, you have, and I'm seeing a 2 written in here. 2 reasons for selecting the topic, 1 mark. I am a little bit fuzzy as to what exactly you are asking me.
When you go down to page 2, remember the plan of investigation is what the students are going to complete. There are specific tasks that they have to explain how they plan to undertake them.
Proposal title.
Mm-hmm.
So A, B, and C. And then it seems to me that lowercase 1, 2, 3 are responses to A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm. But when you come down to number 2, ways of collecting material, ways of applying English language skills to study text, ways of making inferences and drawing conclusions, the student is expected to state specific responses. And when you see 1 and 2, it outlines the student must now identify some English language skills that may be used in analyzing the material. And some examples are given there. Now, it's 1 mark for that identification of the skills, but the syllabus says some. I know as a teacher when I'm marking this, I know some students may write 1, some students may write 2. How are we interpreting that word some for a single mark? That's what I want to understand.
Well, I am thinking that is going to be up to you, the teacher, because it's just 1 mark. So you wouldn't expect them to give you a long list, but you're looking at them to, when they take up a paper to look at it, what are they going to find in the language? Do they want something in dialect, or do they want something in standard English? What do they anticipate? Because this is not something that is definite. It's a plan. What kind of English language skills do you think you'll be using when you look at this thing?
Mm-hmm.
So, you understand? But, does it use summary? Does it use dialogue? These are all English language skills. So the English language skills will be what is pertinent to the piece of thing that they find, to the piece of data that they actually find. You follow me?
I'm following you, but my fear here is when it comes to authenticity and standardization of assessment, because if we're going to say that we want the students to identify some skills,
yes,
I believe that
a definite.
Yes, so that we know that if a student in school A writes 4 skills, how does that equate to 1 mark? If a student in school B writes 2 skills, how does that?
I'm going to say to you what my officer has said to me. At this point, I can't change the syllabus and put on 2 or 3 or none, you know.
Okay.
So we leave it here, and it's going to have to be your decision. There are lots of things that are going to have to be allowed in this first sitting that will not be allowed in the second sitting, because we will have a chance to tighten up all of those things.
Oh, okay.
But I just want what you're talking about here.
Oh, wonderful. I just wanted to know that, okay, so that one would be a little bit more lenient than others then. Okay, wonderful.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Gordon.
Thank you too.
All right, Ms. Jeffers, Cheryl Jeffers, we can entertain your question now, so you have your hand up. Cheryl, go ahead. Cheryl, are you still there? Otherwise, I will go. Yes, Cheryl? Cheryl, your mic is open. Go ahead. Otherwise, I will go to Sanika Citron. Sanika?
Yes?
Go ahead with your question.
Okay, I saw where the presenter indicated no questionnaires are interviewing. Yet in the syllabus, it gave like I plan to collect my data by interviewing one such and such and issuing questionnaires to such and such persons. So right there, I'm a little confused because the syllabus is presenting probably examples, yet the presenter is saying no, no.
Will you tell me exactly where you found it so I can find it?
I'm coming.
Just give us the page reference to the syllabus.
Yes, I'm coming to it.
Okay. Let me see what other questions we have in the chat. All right, so to those of you who have your questions and your hands up, please stand by. I will be coming to you momentarily. Does the student fail if they fail the SBA component? That's the question. I think the person says she's looking for page 49. Can you check page 49 and see? Someone says that what she's looking for is on page 14. Mr. Chan, is it page 49?
Yeah, I'm still looking, but I saw it there where it did.
Denver, read. Page 49.
Yeah, no, for my syllabus it is saying page 53. In conducting my English assignment, I plan to I plan to collect relevant data by searching internet sources and printing relevant pages, interviewing persons in schools, homes, marketplaces, and the community and recording their responses, administering questionnaires to selected samples of people and analyzing their responses on a computer, collecting articles written in newspapers over a given period of so collecting articles written in newspapers over a given period and analyzing their content. So right there I saw, I'm wondering if they're just giving you examples of different ways you can collect data, or they're saying, all right, these are the ways that you're going to go about getting this SBA done.
We seem to have some differences.
I think the only difference was that her thing went on to talk about interpretation on the computer. But I think the first part of the sentences she read were the same as this one, which is the interview. I think her main challenge is the interviewing and collecting and the data, which recording data, yeah. So, Mr. Chan, your issue is about the interviewing.
And the question, because I know she's saying it's not like a science, it's not like the social studies SBA where you do interviews and you do questionnaires. But at the same time with this, I know that you can do getting an article, a poem or whatever, but this was giving suggested group activities that the students can do. So I just wanted a clarification. Is it that questionnaires and interviews are absolutely a no-no, even though the syllabus suggests otherwise?
My understanding of it is you need to find, for your reflections, you need to find objects, whether it is written or however, that have already been created. Now, in the group discussion, you need extra information to verify, to agree with, to argue with. And therefore, you need to spread your wings. And this is where interviewing persons, etc., and doing the recording will come in. So when you're in your group, you can say you shouldn't do that or you shouldn't accept that as it is. Because when I spoke to the landlord at some point, he says that this is a, so this becomes evidence, but not part of the objects that you have to reflect on.
Okay, I understand. So you can use it as supporting evidence.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Burnett. Melina. Go ahead, Melina Burnett.
Right. With respect to the reflections, right? You said that the reflection is 150 words, right? Is it that each reflection, you have to do 3 pieces of reflection, so that will be, each one will be 150 words, or one reflection that you have paragraphs and they talk about the different criteria, different sections like language or how it shapes the student's perception and etc.
I'm looking into the syllabus to think I don't have the information exactly on how many words in a piece, and that's why I'm saying off the top of my head, I believe it's 150 words, but it could be a little bit more, right? But so that for a reflection on the first object, and the total words would be in this ballpark figure, in this general area of 150. So by the time you finish your 3 reflections, you would have 150 times 3. Let me do that again. For my first object, I have a CD with something on it. I reflect on the content in 3 areas, bringing it to a total of around 150. I take the second object and I repeat the process, so I now have 300. I take the third object, which we say I'm suggesting will be deferred for a couple of weeks till I've done something more with the SBA, and I reflect on that, and that's another 150. So I am seeing 150 multiplied by 3, and I'm sorry that there's not an exact figure in the syllabus, and I didn't think to write it down myself. So this figure might be something that we have to come back to you and give you specific information on. Is that okay?
All right, Melina.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Ms. Burnett, Bartlett, are you there?
My question relates to the same area that the lady was concerned about just now, searching internet sources and printing relevant pages. When I looked at this, it seems as if this will give you 2 pieces of written data as opposed to just one, because it says 1 print, 1 audio, and 1 visual. So if you're going to search for sources printed, that suggests that you're going to have some kind of passage. The interview could be audio, but then when you collect articles from a newspaper, that will also be printed. So how is this information to be used? This one that the lady was talking about the interviews and stuff. How is that supposed to be used? I'm not clear on that.
My problem is, from what you just said, but there's no stipulation in the syllabus that you have to have all the pieces. I'm not even sure what you said, but you indicated that there will be 3 pieces of writing.
Yeah, because you said the audio and visual, right? 3 pieces of data.
No. I'm not even using the word visual. You need to find.
Oh, see, so you can have more than one piece that is printed in.
3 pieces of data, one of which must be word.
Okay, all right.
So the other 2 can be whatever you choose.
So it can be a video, it can be audio, it could be an interview, it can be a calypso, it could be anything.
Okay, all right.
And the operative word there is can.
It can be. Okay. Now I have another question. The brief plan of the oral presentation that is submitted, could this be used as evidence, enough evidence for the fact that the oral presentation has taken place?
It might have to be an essential part if Then nevertheless, this is not being worked out. If the council says that the work has to be you're not going to submit the actual product, you're going to submit the brief plan.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that we're going to tidy up.
How long should it be? Just as brief. I mean, could you give us
5
an
minutes.
example?
The
plan.
3 to 5 minutes.
That's the oral presentation.
Should deliver a brief overview. So
Yeah,
it really has to be part of the 5 minutes.
So the brief overview is part of the 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
In my reading.
All right.
All right, Ms. Bartlett, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I will now go to Zanisha Ali. Ms. Ali, can you go ahead, please?
Okay.
Hi, can you speak up a little louder?
Good night.
There you go. Go ahead.
My question is, in the plan of investigation, it says that it's the teacher's guide to students. So I'm wondering if the plan of investigation must be written in continuous prose or can it be done in bullet format related to each question.
Can you repeat your question and speak a little louder? We are straining to hear you.
Okay, I'm wondering, the plan of investigation as outlined in the syllabus is the teacher's guide to the students. But so I'm wondering if it can be written, if it must be written in continuous prose or can it be done in bullet format related to each question?
Okay, got you. Should it be written in continuous prose or bullet point? The plan of investigation. Could you, what page are you on? Oh, page 38. Yeah.
There's no stipulation here as to whether you can use bullet points or not. But it would more be numbered points than bulleted. If you're going to say, first I will do this, my thing is to do so and so, and it will take 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. That should be fine, but it's not notes.
Yeah, it's not notes. I know it has to be obviously done in complete sentences and so on.
Yeah.
The reason I asked this question is because of the type of students I have. It would be easier for them to write according to the questions, numbered separately. So that's why I was wondering if it can be done that way or if it will not be accepted.
No, it will be accepted because your students will still have to use English language and use it correctly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. In terms of the time the SBA is due, those dates are normally on the CXC calendar, as well as the local registrar in your country would also set the times for those dates, because CXC has its dates and the Ministry of Education generally would have their dates so that they can fit the CXC dates. Renee, I've just opened up your microphone, so you can go ahead, Renee. Go ahead, Renee. Good night, Renee. How are you? Do you have a question? Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll go to Amanda Richardson. Leon Hess Secondary in St. Lucia. How is St. Lucia doing today? Amanda, can you go ahead with your question, please? Okay, I will go to Miss Leslie. Good night, Abigail.
Oh, hello.
Hi, good night. Do you have a question?
Yes, I was just asking if the SBA, they were talking about putting it in a folder. Can it be something that you have the students bind, like have a bounded booklet?
Because you're going to be having drafts and redrafts, etc. I am not so sure you want to put it all together at the end
Yes, I was talking about until the end, because what we are doing in my school is we are providing a filing cabinet for the teachers so that every time they collect a part of their students' SBA, we file it. We don't want to leave the students with it because at the end, teenagers will be teenagers and parts might get missing. So being that we are doing that, I am asking if it is possible or if for them to be bounded so that when you send up whatever we need to send up, we send up a booklet.
Yes, this is not something that we have discussed, so it would have to be raised. Bear in mind it's an additional expense.
Yes.
Okay.
We are aware of that. The school has agreed to provide the filing cabinet, so and a folder for each student. That's what our administration is doing. Each student is being provided with a personal folder, and I am the head of department, so I will be in charge of the filing cabinet. So all their things as they bring it in, their final draft will be filed.
And then you see, once you have graded, you see about getting them bound.
Everything. Yes, ma'am.
That sounds okay to me.
Okay, just start at
Yeah, sounds like a good model for other schools to adopt, Miss Abigail. I suspect you're calling from Belize.
Yes, sir.
And I hope everything is well in Belize today.
Yes,
Thank you very much for your contribution, Abigail.
Thank you too.
I'll go to Miss Alita Wright. And you're on, Miss Wright. Good evening, Miss Wright.
Yes. Good night.
Like,
Are you hearing me?
yes.
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. My question was regarding the themes or the issues to be selected. But I heard the presenter spoke about it prior, so.
All right. So your question has been answered?
Yes.
Okay. I will go to Miss Thorpe.
Family and the general issues and sub-issues. So I got an understanding from that one.
Good.
Okay.
Because that was a concern at my school, getting the issues for the students to use.
Okay. I'm glad we were able to clarify that for you. All right. I will go to Sharon Thorpe from Immaculate Conception. Sharon, you can go ahead. Good night, Sharon. Risha Salim, can you go ahead with your question?
Yes, hello?
Yes, good night.
Yes, I would like to know if the material trinkets that the students have to collect, does it have to be local material or any material they find online on the internet?
The find material that is not which benefits analyzed relevant to what is local and is being pursued. So I would say it doesn't have to be local.
Thank you.
And when you say local, you're referring to a particular place?
Local into the Caribbean.
Yes, you can go with the Caribbean. But you might still find yourself, if depending on the issue you're looking at, you could find something that is not Caribbean, but it's also relevant. So long as you're not examining it for the sake of that country, that place from which it comes, you have to make it relevant to what we're doing here.
Thank you.
Ms. Phelps? Hello, good night, Ms. Phelps. Okay, if not, I will go on to Ms. Barrow from Coalition Parry. Who? Go ahead, good night. Mr. Barrow from Coalition Parry. Hello? Okay. Tong? Ciara Tong? Hello, good night.
Hello, good night.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Go ahead with your question and then we'll go to Miss Baldwin.
Okay. For the group component of the SBA, when we're talking about the written report, do the group have to give a written report? Where do they sit together and write a written report to be presented to the teacher?
Two things are happening here. One part of the syllabus suggests that that is exactly what you would do. And another part suggests that you do that, but you also do the individual put together. So at this point, hello?
Yes, I'm here. Listen.
Yes. At this point, I am saying, just so long as you can give evidence that the group was involved at some level in the preparation of the report, then you can go ahead and mark your students positively.
Okay.
We're going to have to work on that so it becomes a clear decision as to whether it is going to be group or individual. But right now it's gray. So
okay.
Sorry.
So the teacher has to devise a way in order to assess whether the group members did it collectively for the written report.
Because it's not too difficult, because there's some steps that would have had to be taken that the group would comment on, and it's actually easier or makes more sense as a group project where you generally comment, because if every student has to talk about the three things that they were looking at, it's going to get very long and very cumbersome.
Okay. And that written report, does that written report have to be included in the individual portfolio of the students?
Yes. A copy, if you come up with one group report, a copy is in every student's portfolio. Because suppose only one of the students in the group, their work is required by the council, then it has to come with everything that it needs.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Tong. Ms. Baldwin, Corinne Baldwin, could you go ahead?
Hi, good evening. Hi, good evening. Thank you very much. Okay, not too bad. I just, well, I'm hearing about the way it should be bound and submitted. Would these SBAs be uploaded digitally as was proposed earlier this year for the internal assessments?
That's a very good question. I do not have the answer to that.
Okay. All right, no problem. But, well, I think the other question I have that I got from a colleague of mine, the profile marks for English A and B are not exactly the same. And I know the SBA, when we are putting the marks online on the database, they have to be allocated according to the profile marks. That's how we do it for literatures in English, and that's how it's being done for the CSEC subjects. How are the marks allocated for English A and B from the SBA marks? Because it's 6 components for your SBA. It's 6 components. 6 different marks coming from your SBA. Are they all to be collated to one collective mark?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Yes. My understanding of it is that it is 1 mark.
It's going to be 1 mark.
Yes.
And it's going to be divided according to the profile for the however it's uploaded online.
We had no discussion about profile.
Okay.
Because it is not an English A paper and it's not an English B paper. So if you try to fit it to English A profile, there's a difficulty in then getting it to fit to the English B profile. So it has its own mark.
Okay, so it's like it's like a third, it's English A, English B, so it's like a 5th paper then, right?
It's paper 3.
It's paper 3. All right. Okay. Whether it is for English A or B.
It's the third paper, yes.
All right. Okay. All right then. I was just wondering about the allocation of the marks. Okay. Thank you very much.
You mentioned that you started off by saying required to bind. You're not required to bind. That's an option you may take.
We were told, we were advised actually, when she's told, we were advised to store the work that the students do in soft copy and keep multiple backups because, you know, when the students submit solid copies, things happen and so on. So I think the safest way would be to keep it in the digital format. Students can keep emailing themselves or sending things back and forth, and that's how you have multiple digital copies and sources. Keeping it in solid copy is not always the most feasible thing, especially if you're emailing your students anyway or doing blogs or whatever.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, Corinne.
Okay, thank you.
We miss you here at Martin in Barbados.
We miss Barbados a lot as well. I'm glad that somebody knows this. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
All right, Tariq, you would be the last person we're taking today. Go ahead, Edward. Good evening. I can see that you are speaking. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to find out.
Can you just come a bit closer to the microphone or the computer?
Okay, I just wanted to find out, are the guidelines you guys just discussed, will those guidelines be probably the ones
we are not hearing you clearly. You are wavering a bit.
we could probably have a
Sorry, Mr. Edwards. Can you repeat the question? And if you can possibly stay closer to the microphone or the computer, we are not hearing you clearly at all. All right, Mr. Edwards, are you still there? If you can you type the question in the chat on the WebEx platform? And we'll take our final question from Asha. Go ahead, Asha. Jonas, go ahead. Hello. Hello. Asha? Okay, then we go to Carrie Ann Watson.
Carrie.
Oh, is there a print version? I'm a parent and would like to be able to see what is required for the students so that I am informed about what my child needs. Okay, in terms of the requirement, this is Miss Lane, Sarah Lane. We have been speaking about the requirements for the SBA, and we can also refer you to the syllabus at the CXC store, cxc-store.com, cxc-store.com. And that is where you can find the syllabus and the requirements for the syllabus, for the SBAs in the syllabus. We're also going to be posting this webinar on the CXC YouTube channel, and you can check the CXC YouTube channel from Monday for the audio version of the webinar if you missed the explanation about the requirements for the SBA. Ms. Watson, you have the last say, and then we will have to wrap it up for this evening. Miss Watson? Carrie Ann Watson. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now 8:30. We have been at this for approximately 2 hours. And we thank you very much for your participation. And I know that there's still some questions and queries that are outstanding. We encourage you to check on our YouTube channel for the audio version of the webinar from Monday. And I don't know if Dr. Stewart, if you would be willing to answer any questions that they may have. You can send the questions to us at cxcezo@cxc.org, cxcezo@cxc.org, and you can put in the topic English SBA webinar. English SBA webinar should be the topic of your email, and we will forward those to Dr. Stewart, and she will provide answers for you. She has kindly consented to do that so that we ensure that you have all of the information that is required. We will also share that information with the measurement officer responsible for English A and English B so that you can get the correct answer to your questions. So again, cxcezo@cxc.org. Dr. Stewart, your final comments?
Final comment, just to wish you all well in stepping into this new format. It should be highly productive and a great deal of fun for the students. It should give them the opportunity to score marks that they have never scored before for their own creativity. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of Mr. Ayodele Pompey, our webmaster, who was responsible for all the technical operations here this evening, I thank you very much for participating in the webinar. As I said, please check the CXC YouTube channel from Monday, and the audio version of the webinar will be there. So to all 437 participants, I thank you very much for your participation this evening. My name is Cleveland Sam. Have a good evening. Bye.